Next question is from Pete on the gram. You guys talk about gaining strength to gain muscle, but how do you know if you're too weak? In your 40s, for someone that has never lifted for strength, what should your goal be? Deadlift, squat, bench press, your weight? Should you press half your weight?
Remember, Sal, remember the thing from...
Yeah, it was a chart.
Yeah, what's the guys? What's their names? T-Nation.
Yeah.
T-Nation has a really cool...
Now, they're using the chart to compare you to, like, decently strong people in gyms and stuff like that. This is a tough question to ask because how do you know if you're too weak?
I mean, averages and generalizations.
Yeah, it's like, okay, how do you know if you're too weak? Well, do you have a poor quality of life? Do you notice lots of pain? Are you unable to perform activities that you want to perform to enjoy your life? If the answer to that is like, no, I can't do stuff. I can't play with my kids. I can't, do certain things. My back hurts. Yeah, and then you're too weak. If you're strong enough to enjoy your life and you have a good quality life, then you're strong enough and you're totally fine. Now, the second part of the question is like, what should you be able to lift? I mean, I don't know. I when clients would ask me, this was a tough thing to
Well, you know
answer.
what? You're actually saying something, because I was heading in the direction of giving them something more tangible or more specific, right? Like the T-Nation chart. But you're right. Like the truth is, why do we do all this shit?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, why?
I know some athletes that they're not strong in the gym at all, but they can move. They feel good. They've got great
and who
quality
cares?
life.
And like, here's the deal.
And then I know people who are hella strong.
The fact that I can squat 400 pounds on my back has not transferred over that much into real life. Not 400 pounds. The fact that I could squat over 150 pounds has.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times where I'm carrying a kid or I got to lift something up that weighs 100, 200 pounds. There's not a lot of times.
No, there's that one time you gave Justin and Doug a piggyback ride. And that's what it really
There's not a lot of times where I need to be able to, deadlift 550 pounds off the floor. But yeah, okay, that makes the couch really light for me. So you're right. If you can do the things that you like to do in life and it doesn't, break you down, or you're not sore, or you're not unable to do it because you're too weak,
totally,
then you're technically strong enough.
Totally, 100%. Okay, so here's some gym numbers that I've communicated to people in the past, and it's like, okay, well, you're doing pretty good in gym standard for a man, average guy, if you could at least bench press your weight, if you could at least squat 1.5 times your weight, and if you get at least deadlift twice your weight, you're doing pretty damn well. A lot of people can't do those three things. Now you go beyond that, now you're starting to get pretty damn strong. If you could bench press 1.5 times your weight or 2 times your weight, you're pretty freaking strong. You're like in the 5%, right? If you could deadlift 3 times your weight, you're in the top, few percent, right? Type of deal. But the numbers I gave earlier, those are, I guess, cool numbers to aim for, but don't get hung up. I mean, like I said, there were guys I used to train with in jiu-jitsu that they'd come to the gym every once in a while with me, and I could outlift them all day long.
It was like an entirely different skill.
Yeah, but they were
they're
badasses.
super strong in their sport.
Yeah, we'd hit the mats, and I was in danger, and they've lived great lives, and they were perfectly fine. I've worked blue collar jobs with my dad with guys that I could outlift all day long in the gym, but they could outwork me, all day long. So it's really just about your quality of life. If you don't have a good quality of life and you can't do the things you want because you lack the strength, that's when you know that you're too weak.
Yeah, I actually would prefer more of like just testing your grip strength, just because of longevity purposes, and also being able to access that kind of force generation. So because it applies to almost everything, but in terms of like very specific compound lifts, like, unless you're working on it incessantly, like that's something I wouldn't really focus too hard on.
Part of my inability to sit in a deep ass to grass squat or sit down and play with my son was also weakness in my hips. So you could technically make the case that even though I was deadlifting and squatting 400 or 500 pounds, I was super weak in my hips.
Right.
So mobility became this huge thing for me before Max came, I want to be a dad who could sit down and do his puzzle with him in a seated position, in a squatted position, without getting exhausted. Yeah. And so, I actually had to get weaker in my squat and deadlift, and put a lot of energy and effort into my mobility and strength in my range of motion in my hips to allow me to do those things. So technically, I am a weaker from a standpoint of deadlifting and squatting today, but I have better stable and strong hips right now today than I did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's there's a lot of different ways that you can look at this. And if you're a 40-year-old dad, potentially like we are, to me, that's the shit that really matters, is the fact that I can comfortably get down and play with my son. Nobody's asking me, hey, Adam, are you still squatting 400 or deadlifting 500 pounds? Like, no one gives a shit about that. Like, the fact that I can get down and do those things, that is what really matters.
Yeah, as long as I'm stronger than my kids' friends' dads,
it's adjustment.
Then I'm okay.
Justin's line.
If I'm stronger than their dads, I'm good.
I mean, it's stronger than my kids. I'm going to punk them forever.